Hi, this is Matt with Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my StarOS Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 70. Any articles or videos mentioned you can find on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Look for news recap number 119. So before we get started, just sort of the topics to go over. Some of the content will be interesting point that was made, interesting point to me anyways, that was made on the Metaverse Nomads about the idea of collectibles. A couple thoughts on a couple Star Atlas events, the Atlas Brew and the Economic Forum. And then I'll do I'm calling them regular segments now, my kind of thoughts on the state of Star Atlas and then my journey playing Star Atlas. So, but before I get into that, just two promotions of some of the Star Atlas projects I'm working on. The first is my Star Atlas merch store, Intergalactic Gear. You can find that at intergalacticgear.com. It's officially open for business. I am slowly adding products. My first collection, I guess is the word they use, is going to be a series of mugs with different Star Atlas logos with my even own little slant on it, i.e. my color that I picked for my store. Anyways, you can go to intergalacticgear.com, and if you're interested in getting a Star Atlas mug, you should be able to get one. If you're in the United States, I'm only shipping to the U.S. at this point. But I do have a merch survey there, and I'd love to hear everybody's opinion in the Star Atlas community about different merch items you'd like to see. Long term, I believe my manufacturing can be worldwide, so someday we'll extend to that too. The other thing is my, what I guess I'll be calling, I'm kind of starting to lean toward my original concept, which is a non-guild guild, but more of just a alternative Star Atlas community. If you're not interested in hanging out in the Star Atlas Discord, it's just too chaotic, too many messages, can't follow things. So I'm looking to start a community. It will be paid, but it's partly to offset the cost of the software to run the platform. It's allows for things like threaded discussions. You can sign up for email alerts on topics and discussions that you're interested in. So it's not a chat platform. It's more of a community discussion platform. So if you're interested in that, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com and fill out the interest survey there. So let's go ahead and get into the bulk of content. A few things from the past week that occurred within the Star Atlas and the broader Star Atlas community. Metaverse Nomads did have their weekly, at least it's Sunday morning time for my time zone. I'm almost forgetting who the guests were now. Anyways. Again, if I don't write it down, it's a week ago. I can't remember things. As my kids say, I'm old, but whatever. Anyways, the concept of collectibles came up. So I thought that was actually kind of interesting because at first I was kind of like, well, really? I mean, and again, maybe this goes back to sort of some of the knocks on the whole NFT stuff where, what is it, Bored Ape Clubs, you were just collecting, you weren't even collecting something, you were just getting a picture, and people were trying to compare that to previous generation collectibles like baseball cards or whatever. But, and during that time, there were lots of talk about having the NFTs, quote, have utility. And I remember at the time, if you're a member, if you're a holder of this NFT, that'll give you perks like getting into events and things like that. And now that the NFT thing is more for sure, but definitely not in the public consciousness as much as it was before, I'm not really following it because it doesn't pop up in my thing. And again, for us in the Star Atlas community, I mean, it's always about utility. I mean, our NFTs have always been ships, and the idea is these ships will do things down the road. So in a sense, we were buying a ship, so we weren't really buying an NFT. But anyways, what I actually started thinking about was this idea of collectibles. And I originally had thought in my Star Atlas journey that it was cool to collect ships. But again, I treated them as I'll have the ability to do something with them. But after listening to kind of some of the points that came out of the Metaverse Nomad show, I actually realized that maybe I was being a little too much because there has been collectibles for a long time. So I alluded already to trading cards, whether that's, I guess, from my youth, I think of baseball cards. I'm sure there were football cards, but I just remember baseball cards. I remember collecting Star Wars trading cards, and I'm still proud to this day to have them buried in some box somewhere. Hopefully they're still paper. They didn't melt or get wet or something. But anyways, we've had for decades collecting comic books, which I also did at some point too. And then the ultimate collectible, and it's still being done today, and it's been done for centuries, of course, is just art. People have collected art in whatever form, whether that's painting, sculpture, whatever. So yeah, so definitely there's nothing wrong with this. And so again, it made me realize that, yeah, it's fine to be part of the game. And so anyways, it just, again, this thought again about, sure, if you just want to collect something for the sake of collecting it, more power to you, you know, and different organizations facilitate that. So Star Atlas is just one of them. So anyways, again, if you've been listening a while, these are just random things that catch my attention in the past week related to the Star Atlas community. So Star Atlas did host their weekly Atlas Brew. This is predominantly a community update. So if you're interested in hearing, I think it was mainly the Super Phoenix DAO and the Puri community had some updates. I think there was a couple at the end. If you want a quick, so you can check that out. It's linked in my website to News Recap number 119. You can get the actual recording that Star Atlas TV does, or if you just want the couple-minute overview, Beth, one of the other content creators, does a great TLDR, Too Long Didn't Read. Yeah, again, I'm not into internet acronyms that well. So anyways, you can check those out. There was also an economic forum, also recorded. You can find that on Star Atlas TV. It's great. They've, I think, decided to have, I think they said it was going to be always the first Thursday of the month. So that's great. Love when presentation or anything has a consistency and cadence to that. So, but I'll again still mention, maybe I was a little tired too, but again, tiredness is only a factor in when you realize you're not really into the content. So again, it's just so hard to engage, but I admit I have kind of the same thing. I mean, sure, I'm aware of the economy and you know, real life economy, but I'm not an economist. I don't understand. I don't watch CNBC and, you know, stock market falling ins and outs of that. So, but I'm still glad it's a part of Star Atlas, and I'm really glad to see the economic team making a consistent effort to communicate with the community. So that's great. Also, there was some posts in the Star Atlas Discord about a collaboration with Honeyland, which I believe was originally announced back in December. I think it happened. There was something you could craft. There was only 100. They were gone in 20 minutes, so didn't matter if I followed it or not because it was already over. So I guess great, but hard to, didn't build up much anticipation. It was over before if you weren't paying really close attention. So yeah, I guess cool. Anyways, so those were just sort of the things from other community content creators or the team itself. So moving on to my two sections myself. So again, just sort of the state of Star Atlas. Yes, we're still waiting, but there is a town hall next week. I believe it's, at least for my time zone, sometime on June 3rd. Supposedly the biggest, couple hours. So we'll wait and see. Again, still waiting. The Super Phoenix DAO did have their minting. I definitely went back and forth on whether or not to spend any money. It was really great what Beyond the Horizons video he did when he was doing his mints. He was in the whitelist, so he got an early window to do it. It was fun watching, I have to admit, I guess because it's real. It's the true, live streaming, even though I watched it later on YouTube, but he recorded it live type of thing. Didn't seem like it had much edits. So anyway, so that was kind of cool. I did eventually decide to go ahead and buy one. My mint came in just as common, which is fine. I mean, you can't really, it'd be cooler to get something more, but again, that's the game. But anyways, it was still great. I think it's a very interesting Star Atlas community project, and it'll be interesting to see. So I guess by having the NFT, I get my access and stuff and some sort of rewards and things like that. So again, it's just, I guess, something to keep being engaged, even if it's offshoot. But again, to each his own type of thing. If you're not interested in that, no problem. I do admit I'm not really posting that on my feeds. I'm kind of trying to stay within strictly the Star Atlas news and updates and things, but I guess I'm talking about it now only because there really wasn't much going on this week. So, and then one thing that did pop on my mind, it was sort of this concept of goals and going back to kind of how the Star Atlas team is developing the project. And as was made a lot of sense when I interviewed Jose, the lore writer, earlier this year, that there really were three kind of parts to it: the lore, the game design, the economy. And I was kind of thinking about, well, what is the goal of each one of those parts? And again, this could be too simplistic, and I'm not trying to at all diminish the work that the Star Atlas team who is focused on that is. I'm just the outsider looking in, and I will have my own personal thoughts and interests, and those may not be what someone else's interest is. So again, it's not to diminish anyone's effort, because I do definitely agree that three of these things do relate. So, but I was going back to, well, what's their goal? And the goal of the lore, obviously, or to me, is to tell an interesting story. I mean, lore, story, but interesting. And maybe this came from watching a really bad movie in the sense of poor writing, poor plot. Sure, it was action, but again, it became not comedy, but it was just like, yeah, right. And again, there's times where those movies are awesome, and there's other times where, yeah, you kind of want a little more substance. So to me, again, lore is about telling a story. So, and that story could be in so many different aspects. Game design, by its terms, are to design a game. But I added to be fun. I think games are fun. And again, I go back to maybe, games that maybe we have a common experience like checkers or chess. And you could say, well, checkers is a perfect example. Tic-tac-toe. Yes, it's a game. It is boring beyond belief, but we all play it as children. But again, as children, at an age where that repetitiveness and the fact that the probability is so low that you're ever going to win because you just don't have... Anyways, but it fits your age, and then checkers and chess. Anyways, and people would say chess is not fun because it's too hard and it's too strategic. Maybe because I was watching a documentary on AI and how they develop computers to play chess and then go. So anyways, but again, definitely design a game design, but hopefully to be fun. And then the economy. And that aspect of the game is goals and maybe this came out of the economic form, was to make sure it's a monetary system that functions. But that was sort of the preface to this. But here's really where my point was about the goal. It seems to me, so far at least, that we're only focusing on the economy of the game. And that's driving features of the game. And I think, again, what limited I was paying attention when I was listening to the economic form was something about, we're going to do this with LP, and we're going to do this, and maybe when combat happens, this will happen, all that. And again, it was an economic form. It was about the economy. I would not have expected to learn about lore at that meeting. So again, this is not a criticism at all. But I guess I got thinking, why is game design not leading? I guess game design developed the concept of star bases and we would upgrade them. But why are we upgrading them? It's for the economy. And so I started wondering, and again, it just could be the point at which we're on the game development at this point, is that game design isn't really being involved in star-based. It's much more economic. You could say, I know there's a button you can click and there's lore. I have never clicked. But again, lore is not my thing. It's not why I'm into this project. But, sounds like definitely the last changes were all for economic reasons. There was no gameplay change. We didn't scan differently. We didn't mine differently. We didn't craft differently. Sure, we got a new crafting recipe, but those were for third-party collaborations. Anyways, I don't know. I just realized that it seems like everything's about the economy. And is this because, again, we're a crypto game? If you ripped out the cryptocurrency aspect, is there a game? Is there an economy in World of Warcraft? Is there an economy in Fortnite? Again, I haven't really thought about it enough, but it sure feels like, again, because this is a crypto game, the economy, rightly so, has to work and be functional. But why isn't game design moving forward? Now, as an aside, I realized after I wrote this, well, maybe because Starbased is just the economy side and the showroom is going to be the game design side. Racing. Maybe there's an economic thing. Anyways, so where does all this go? I was actually thinking about it later literally this morning when I was walking the dogs, is we keep calling Star Atlas a game, and I don't think it's a game. Now, again, that's a word. This is my opinion. You could have a totally different opinion. This isn't meant to say this has to be this way. But we used to refer to Star Atlas as a metaverse. Partly think that word's probably going to fall out of public consciousness. Nobody's going to know what a metaverse is next year. We don't talk about it right now. We've moved on. I mean, AI we talk about, crypto we talk about, but we definitely don't talk about metaverse. Even, Google, or sorry, what are they? Apple Provision, whatever. I mean, again, Apple made their own terms for it. Spatial computing, whatever. So, anyways, my point was more of just saying that, I'm starting to think more and more that StarOS is a game. No, StarOS is, for lack of a better term, a project. You could say an ecosystem, but again, a project. And again, that goes back to what I remember a couple years ago when we were all talking about crypto projects and what's its utility and where's a project and who's the project lead. Anyways, I know these are just words. Anyways, but again, it goes back to thinking about this thing I've been kind of obviously talking about quite a bit, is a game. And Star Atlas will definitely have game components, game features down the road. Maybe right now we're just focused on the economy. So I did what is the classic of everything. You look up the definition of game. So whatever came up first hit, some Oxford dictionary or something. I don't know. Anyways, quote, a form of play or sport, especially a competitive one, played according to rules and defined by skill, strength, or luck. And I have to admit, that really was helpful. Form of play. Play, to me, is, not real. Definitely not economic. And again, people say, people play the stock market. Okay, that's fine. I mean, again, these are just words. Competitive, sure, there's definitely aspects of, or I shouldn't say there could be aspects that are competitive. Are there much right now in Star Atlas, the things we have, Starbase? Some people call it competitive. I don't feel like I'm playing against anybody. Rules, sure, but they're constantly in flux. So, who knows what the rules are tomorrow. A team can change anything, which everybody says, that's to be expected. Again, that's fine. Define by skill. Again, I've already said clicking buttons to dock and undock, that's not skill. Strength, I'm thinking this is more like a physical game, like baseball or football or something, soccer. Yeah, fine. Luck, oh yeah, there's lots of luck. But not really anything we're doing right now does it actually fit too much of this definition. So, and I only say that not to again say, but I think again just to be more open to the fact that, we talk about, we need to bring people in to play a game, and it's like, well, but nothing you can do right now is anything related to traditional video game space. And again, I haven't been following it. Beyond Horizon was just putting out a couple of YouTube shorts about this community created sandbox game, I think. But again, it's more of a, what do you call it, quest. You go you run around places, try to meet somebody who gives you a quest to go someplace else. Yeah, those definitely fit the classic definitions of games and definitely previous video games. So anyways, to kind of wrap all this up, again, what are the goals? Yeah, to develop this project called Star Atlas. It has so many aspects and so many different ways you can interact with and all that. And that's great. Makes you want to get involved, things like that. But when we get, so what is it, macro, micro aspects, but we get to what can we do today? I have to admit, and I'll get to it in a second with my journey, mining raw materials in Starbase, and I'm on like 3 out of something. Yeah, when I got my goal for one, I just was totally unmotivated to do the next one. So again, there's no replay. I mean, it's my own made up goal. I'm not, these raw materials don't do anything. They have no purpose going forward. Yes, we're just in the early aspects. Yes, the economy's trying to be, developed and stable and all that's great. But none of these are classic parts of a game. So again, my podcast, my ramblings, take it or leave it. Anyways, moving on. So I kind of alluded to my journey. So past week, I did do another, what I'm calling my mining supply chain attempts, this time to get carbon ore. So, did a little bit better this time. It was much better, not oversupply my Starbase, so I didn't have to bring back a whole supplies, but still didn't hit the right goals. And mainly still on the bringing the resource back after it's mined. So that I need to refine. But during this time, I think there was some bugs related to, in Sly Assistant related to round trip fueling, and I didn't read the Discord enough to realize that you had to go in and do a manual edit. So again, no fault to Sly Assistant. It just didn't know what I was doing wrong. But this time, at least, I did really good. I recorded my before and after counts. Just haven't had any time to do the analysis. So that's last week. Work got pretty busy this past week, and so just didn't have time to do that. One thing I am going to try to add into the mix is some crafting, only to start gaining a little XP, just because completist, I guess. I got XP for everything. What is it? Piloting and mining and something else, whatever the 4 out of 4 parts of experience points are. So I thought I'd do a little crafting. Plus I had 2 ships that I moved over to the Super Phoenix Dow raffle or drawings, that no reason to blow apart a fleet just to bring them back in. So I thought I'd make them into a little crafting. As of now, I'm still thinking I'll probably continue mining resources, but I'm starting to realize that I'm probably using a lot of the R4 resources, so the food, fuel, and ammo. And how are my claim stakes doing, and do I care if I run them down? Plus, I'm also thinking I need to get much better on realizing time is a factor. So, like, I don't care if I warp, because that takes more fuel, but subwarping is slower, but it's less fuel consumption, especially on moving the resources back. So, anyways, I guess some of this might change depending on what the town hall says, if we get some actual updates on where things are going, because like I mentioned a couple past podcasts, I'm still completely confused on Fleet Command and what that is and how that relates to the browser, because I really thought the browser game is a great idea, but now it seems like maybe it's not going to camp. I don't know. We'll see. Again, like I said, I think the town hall is a mid-year update is a great idea. So anyway, so that's what I'm doing. So kind of wrap it up there. So again, thanks for listening. If you'd like to be a guest on my podcast, love to have anybody either for interviews. We can talk about your projects. If you're a Star Atlas community member, love to talk to any other content creators or any Star Atlas team members, obviously, or just chat about the week in review and help me with the kind of analysis. And then again, just to promote my 2 projects, again, if you're interested in Star Atlas mug, I have 4 mug types now, so please go to intergalacticgear.com and take a look at that if you're in the United States. And if you're interested in an alternative Star Atlas community that's more about discussions, asynchronous, you come in and out, not chat-based, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com and fill out the interest survey there, and you can learn more about what are there. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Thanks for listening. Have a great week ahead. This is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald.